Okay, for this edition of What is Faster, we've got two bikes that on paper look very, very similar. Same intended use, really similar geometry, same travel, except one of them has a motor. Yes, will the watts and the newton meters beat the lightweight enduro bike? Let's find out. This is What is Faster, enduro versus e-bike. Shall we start with a bike check of this pretty sweet enduro bike? It's what people call a super enduro bike, but I guess it's kind of similar to a mini downhill bike, you could call it as well. Stick a triple clamp fork on the front of this and you can smash out some pretty sweet downhill runs on this bike. This is my Nukeproof Giga carbon fiber frame, 170mm of rear travel with a 180mm Fox 38 float fork. It's got a Fox Float X2 rear shock. Wheels, I'm running the 359 Vibrocore Spank rear and then a 350 Vibrocore rim on the front, so the lower profile rim on the front. Vittoria Mazza trail tyres. Pressures of 28 PSI in the rear, 26 up front. This bike is a size medium. I am 5'10" tall with a reach of 455mm and a head angle of 63.5. The weight of this bike is 15.5 kilograms, which is 33 pounds. To the e-bike, this is my Specialized Kenevo SL S-Works edition. Now the cynical GMBN viewers, I know there are some, I read your comments, might be saying, Neil, you only do the occasional GMBN video so that you get a free e-bike. And I'll be like, no, I love talking about newton meters and watts and all that. But a perk of that is that I do get my own e-bike as well. And this is it. And I've chosen this bike for this video because basically on paper, like I said before, it's kind of really similar. 170mm travel bike. This is an S3 size with a 180mm Formula Salva R fork. Vittoria Mazza e-bike tyres. So these are the same build as the Enduro Mazzas from Vittoria. This bike weighs 20.5 kilograms, which is about 45 pounds. So about 5 kilograms heavier than the Nukeproof Giga. 29er wheels, 63.5 degree head angle. It's 5mm longer on the reach, but it's nothing. This is really, really similar. Of course, the biggest difference is the motor and the battery, but this is an SL e-bike, so that comes with lighter weight, stands for super light. So less battery, you basically get less torque and less watts help through the motor, and it rides much more like a normal super enduro bike. On this trail I'm going to be riding, I know I'm going to be hovering over the limit. So obviously at the speed limit, this bike will cut off and won't give me any assistance. That is when things get interesting. I've ridden this bike a lot in the past. I know that sometimes the extra weight helps you. I know from my GCSE maths that momentum equals mass times velocity. So if I'm going at the same velocity, but the mass is more, I will have extra momentum. Good for rolling over bumps, not so good for stopping. So I think it's going to be close, this one, but I can't wait to find out. The course for What's Faster is the GBU trail at the Forest of Dean Cycle Centre. It's a downhill trail with jumps, drops, rough stuff and some sprints. 1 kilometre long with a drop of 100 metres.
How was that?
I don't know. All right, time for some electric power. Whoa. I reckon that's the fastest so far. All right, so what about the times? Well, let's start with how it felt actually. So the track felt really good. It felt like these were really good conditions for putting in a fast run. Don't forget the fastest bike so far down this track for me is the Canyon Spectral 29er, which is a 150mm travel 29er bike, got a 160 fork up there. But are these super enduro bikes going to be any faster? E-bike, well, it felt, obviously you've got the assistance, so from the get-go, it feels like you get going faster, obviously. But then there's a start ramp, and it felt like at the bottom of the start ramp, I was kind of the same speed, because there's a little jump that you really have to squash when you try and do a fast run. And they felt about the same. Obviously, it's kind of hard to judge. The e-bike is about 5 kilograms heavier. So obviously you've got the power, but you've got the weight as well to deal with. You know, this is an SL e-bike, so it doesn't feel heavy. You can still manual the bike, you can still throw it around. But also comparing it to a full fat e-bike, on the downhills, I sometimes feel like full weight e-bikes are really hard to stop. They're juggernauts when you have to hit the brakes hard. This doesn't feel like that at all. You've got loads of grip from the weight, and it's not that heavy, so it does stop really fast. Does the weight help anywhere? I guess on the bumps, it's going to feel smoother. It did feel smoother, to be fair. Like those small chattery bumps, that extra bit of momentum over those does make your suspension work really well as well. We talked about like that, the sprung mass of the bike. The sprung mass of that e-bike is more than the Giga, so it does help the suspension work on those little bumps. Also, actually, one thing I did notice is on the e-bike, there's that left-hand berm at the top I've talked about before, how it's really important to carry loads of speed around that, because you then go quite flat for quite a long time. On the Giga, I was burping the tyres when I'm really trying to rail that corner to go get good exit speed. I was right on the edge and the tyres were burping a little bit. I've got the trail tyres, whereas on the e-bike, I've got the e-bike tyres, which are the same as the enduro weight tyres, and I didn't burp the tyres at all. I thought I might do because the bike's heavier. I was throwing it around pretty hard, but I didn't lose that at all. So I wonder if that was faster. So to the times, the Nukeproof Giga did a 1:41.89. That's the fastest bike so far. By a long stretch, the Spectral 29 did a 1:43.05. But the Specialized Kenevo SL did a 1:42.99. So just over a second and a tenth slower. So the new fastest bike is the Nukeproof Giga. It didn't feel like it, felt so close. I would have guessed that the Kenevo SL was going to be faster, but came as a surprise to me. Obviously that lightweight does help, by the looks of it at least. One thing, I didn't get the roller gap on the Kenevo SL. That was a brand new thing I did for first time. I'd eyed this up. I'd seen Joel Anderson do this on his video. Basically, you can jump from a berm over the first. It's like a step up, step down that are really small when trying to go fast. And on the Giga, I managed to jump in, and that felt fast. Was it a second? I definitely don't think it was a second. So I reckon I made up a bit of time everywhere. It's hard to say, but I reckon a bit of time everywhere on the Giga. By the way, if you're wondering how I get such accurate times, I do this on a GoPro. You can do this really slow. I'm literally skipping frames, and I can see when my front wheel moves. I leave from the same point every time. So I lean my bar against the post, and when I move, I can see the front tyre tread literally move. To the 10th of a second, I can get it, and then I time it to a roller, and when my front wheel starts to rise and roll. So it's crazy how accurate you can get this. I've looked at doing this with stopwatches, Garmin, Strava, whatever. I find that the GoPro, if you want to time yourself, this is the most accurate way of doing it. Anyway, there you go. There's the leaderboard. Nukeproof Giga goes straight to the top. Yeah, a lot faster than the Spectral 29. So, you know, pretty much, well, a second and 2/10 faster than anything other than the Kenevo SL, obviously. They go two fastest bikes to the top of the leaderboard. Let me know what you want to see next. I know people actually on the last video requested that the retro, you know, the cheap downhill bike that I rode for that video, I'll try and do the cheap downhill bike versus the modern downhill bike. That might be the next one, but any other bikes, let me know down below. Give us a thumbs up if you like going fast on your mountain bike.